Welcome back to Never Morphed, the podcast in which a 30-something, I'm 34 now! Oh my god, I just had my birthday. I'm 34? Yes. I read Animorphs. I can't imagine you're jumping in right now. If you are, hi, I'm reading Animorphs, and guess what, every pony? I got sick again! More than once. Over and over, in fact, to a really concerning degree. Yay! Ooh! So I'm going to go ahead and put a timestamp into the show notes for when the real podcast really starts. But you know, on Never Morphed, it's always TMI time and what is happening with Will's disaster body time. So you can skip this if you want. Probably you should. I don't think anybody needs to know this. But I'm a Gemini! So, essentially what's happening right now is I'm going through this really fucking awesome cycle where I get sick with a chronic recurring illness that has complete mystery origins. Like we're in like biopsy level. So I get sick, and then as soon as I can, I go to my primary care provider, which means if it happens on a Friday, I'm waiting a few days to go to there. And then I get put on 2 very intense medications for 10 days. And you would think that, like, by a couple of days in, the medications, like, I would feel better, right? No. On the medications, I feel almost as bad. Less pain, but still everything else. We're talking your absolute fucking club classics here. We're talking pain. We're talking fevers. We're talking nausea. We're talking brain fog. And pretty much all of that lasts, except for some of the pain, which, you know, I'll fucking take it. But the rest does not help. And then I'll be okay for 7 days. And then it's right back to 10. Now, you might notice that 10 is a bigger number than 7. So that does mean that I have been spending more time sick than doing fine. Yay! Woo! I'm currently on my day number 8 right now, and I'm fucking terrified. So, all that being said, like usual, as I'm sure you've come to expect with this fucking podcast that I love so much, that brings me so much joy, that I wish I could be doing every day of my life, I am trying my fucking best. So here's the deal. I have episode 15 in some beautiful chunks, basically ready to go for you. And I will be releasing those to the best of my ability, and then recording after that to the very best of my ability. On this main feed, I will always be updating on Fridays. So on Fridays, you can check the feed. If you are interested in something like a newsletter, or like, how can I ping you? I guess you can turn alerts on in your podcast app if you want to. Anyway, they'll get posted here when I can. I'm very sorry. I know that all of you are so incredibly generous and patient and kind with me. But I'm not good at this. I'm good at being good at things and expeditious. So I just want you to know how much I appreciate your graciousness with me, truly and deeply. I know I say this every time this happens with my stupid fucking goddamn fucking body. This is how pissed off I am, is I am swearing currently the way that I can only imagine Marco swears the second he starts swearing. Anyway, thanks. Enjoy this really incredible episode with Samantha Riedel. She is a fantastic writer. She used to write for Them, which is a queer publication that is incredible. I will obviously link her piece in the show notes, and I hope that you follow her on socials. She's so fucking cool. She's so fucking smart. And we talked for so fucking long. So I hope that you're ready to truly buckle in for some primo Marco content. This book is so goddamn good. Thank you, listeners. Thank you, Animorphs. Thank you, Samantha. Let's fucking go. Welcome back to Nevermorphed, the podcast in which I read all of the Animorphs books for the first time as a 30-something. And I am joined today by Samantha Riedel. Riedel, right? Riedel?
That's exactly correct,
Okay.
Williams.
Thank God, thank God.
Not all of us can have the same first and last name. Some
Yes.
of us have to make it a little bit difficult on the world.
I've made it so easy for everybody. The entire world, you're welcome.
Your name is that of a podcast host.
Thank you.
Has anybody told you that?
I think so, actually. And I will take it as a compliment. I am so happy to have you here today. I connected with you because you wrote a piece for Them about Animorphs, which I have not read yet because I was so scared about spoilers, but I've been told it does not have spoilers. And one of my patrons on our Patreon Discord sent the piece and your post on Blue Sky over to our Nevermorphed channel, and I immediately went, oh yeah, I gotta shoot my shot here. And it worked out perfectly. I'm so happy to have you here. This timing was incredible. I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled to have you.
I'm so incredibly ecstatic to be here, Will. I really can't express it.
The second you said that you were a Marco person, I was like, this written in the stars. Written in the stars. This is perfect. I needed to have somebody who understood Marco on a fundamental level for this one, because audience, you'll hear this is not just a Marco book. This is a really Marco book. This is a really Marco book.
This is one of the Marco books of all time.
Oh,
this is such a book.
Oh, it's truly such a book. Okay, let's talk about your history with Animorphs. I would love to know how you got into it, what that timing was like for you. I would also love to know if you watched the TV show, because nobody has.
I'll get the TV show out of the way for early. Sure. I remember being so excited for the concept of the TV show. I did not actually grow up with TV in my house because of reasons. Mm-hmm. I lived in a valley. We didn't have reception. Sure. And then my parents weren't well off enough where they were yeah, let's definitely pay for cable every month. Totally. So they just kind of chose not to, which had a whole bunch of effects. I did not have a lot of reference for a lot of pop culture that was happening around me, but I knew that show was going to be a thing and I really wanted to watch it. And I somehow managed to find a VHS of My Name is Jake at the local thrift store.
Oh, wow.
Yes. And I bought it immediately. And I took it home and I slammed it open palm into the VCR. And I watched this first episode. I'm like, oh, no.
Yeah.
And I remember the thing I can remember fondly about the TV show is that it did give us Shawn Ashmore as Jake. Yes. Just a hair's breadth before he then went on to become Iceman in the X-Men movies. Right. And yes. I do kudos to him for sliding into that weird genre niche early on and just riding that train.
Yes.
I It's great, but I couldn't get behind the special effects and
That's so fair.
how they were. It already felt a lot cheesier and more Power Rangers. I have a lot more respect for Power Rangers and Sentai and Tokusatsu and stuff than I did then. But at the time, I was like, no, it's supposed to be brutal and horrifying.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
Like, much respect to Power Rangers and the entire Sentai scene, but like that's not what's going on
It
here.
wasn't the vibe.
That's not the vibe.
My friends were getting dismembered on the page, and it just wasn't looking like that was gonna happen.
Yeah.
Certainly I was not going to be on the lookout for more VHS copies.
Sure.
Yeah, the books, on the other hand, like polar opposite, are a core facet of my personality. and the Andalite Chronicles is like the text for a lot of my childhood, I think. I was a very I was a precocious kid. Looking back, I think I was hyperlexic at a time when that wasn't really a thing that the adults in my life were looking out for. So I was just like a little brainy kid who loved to read. And that was fine by my parents. My mom was a school librarian at the time that this is all happening for me. And my dad was a local journalist who became a antiquarian bookseller.
Wow.
Yes. Mom was the one who was bringing in the paychecks. But both of my parents were like very like nerdy, into their own genre fiction, had watched Doctor Who together when they were like young and in love, courting, I mean. I remember going to the local library when I was probably 7 or 8 years old in 97, 98, and getting a copy of number 3.
Oh.
Uh-huh.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was one of the kids that didn't really read the whole. I didn't read the series in order.
Sure.
For the first time, like I read number 3. I was like, immediately give me all of these.
Yeah.
I did, as I said, when my mom was a school librarian, I did have after hours access to the Scholastic Book Fair.
Yes.
Yeah,
amazing.
that's my biggest flex, I think, that I'll have on this episode, is that, yes, when the janitors were coming around the school building and my mom was packing up to go, I got to decide what I wanted to take home from the Scholastic Book Fair.
I'm pretty sure your biggest flex is having a published piece in them about Animorphs and anti-fascism. I'm pretty sure.
Listen,
that's a close second.
Yeah. My editor and I have a very good relationship.
Good.
I just fell in love with the series almost immediately. I could not get enough. Every time that we were going to go out on a shopping trip, can we go to Borders? Can we go to Barnes & Noble? Can I look around and see if there's any more? I tried to get as many as I could from the library. So my reading was a little patchwork when I was a kid, but I was also a really big comics fan. And I was used to reading serialized fiction somewhat out of order and like in the installments that I could piece together. My dad was also a comics nerd. He got me into it.
Hell yeah.
And so this was just sort of like a part of how I was comfortable experiencing fiction anyway. So the way in which the books hinted at things that had already happened read to me in a way it was like, oh, I gotta go find the book where that happens and find out more about that. Oh shit, Jake got yerked at some point. What happened there? That sounds important. I better go read number 6. So that was a big part of my childhood, is running around and reading as much Animorphs as I possibly could, rereading the ones that I ended up owning. And yeah, it is a very, very core part of my personhood as an adolescent, was in identifying with these kids.
I love that. I love that. I gotta ask, what were
Yeah,
your comic book mainstays?
I was definitely a Batman kid.
Cool,
Um,
cool.
I do have, we'll talk about Jake and Marco later, but I have feelings about their Batman and Spider-Man
Yes.
debates. So I was a Batman kid, and that also then became being a Robin kid.
Yes, yes, yes.
And even more specifically, I ended up being a spoiler kid.
Oh my God.
I love Stephanie Brown
Yes.
so much. I
So
actually
underrated. So underrated. Okay, when you were first reading, did you specifically identify with any of the characters? Have you always been a Marco person?
I am actually I was more of a Tobias kid, in all honesty.
For sure. For sure.
And not only because of latent trans feelings, but a lot of latent trans feelings, which we will also get into here.
Mhm.
I think the thing was, I also had sort of complicated relationships with my parents, as much as they were also loving. My mom is disabled. She has multiple sclerosis. My dad had type 1 diabetes. And those things were just part of me growing up with my parents from when I was a toddler.
Right.
And so when I started coming of age in any significant way, and even before that, I knew that there was a certain amount of responsibility that was like being implicitly placed on me. And I never really regard that as being parentified in a sense, but there was, again, with me also being kind of precocious, there was a little bit of adultification in my life,
Sure.
from an early age. And then over time that got more intense as my parents got sicker. Both of my parents, this is a number of years after I started reading Animorphs, but when I was a teenager, both my parents got diagnosed with different forms of cancer within a year of each other.
Oh, jeez.
And that my dad's brain cancer is eventually what killed him when I was in college. So I had a lot of really complicated feelings about my parents and my relationship to them and my responsibilities to them and their health, from around the time that I was reading the series and internalizing a lot of things about the world.
Totally.
So yeah, so I think I mostly related to Tobias and his particular brand of emotional outlook, even though I didn't really relate to having fully absent parents and
Sure.
caretakers. I had people in my life who I knew loved me in their own ways, and that love was real. But it was also weird, and I had like weird feelings about what that looked like on a day-to-day basis. So I kind of landed in between Tobias and Marco in a sense, and I could relate to both of their frustrations and ambivalence towards a lot of things. And I loved all of the characters for their own particular reasons. And I I resent having to rank my precious children at the end of this episode. But I do think those two little freaks are just a lot. They represent a lot of the turmoil that I felt akin to at the time.
Absolutely. Do you still think that you land about midway between them? Has that changed at all?
I think Um, I have gotten so a lot of Marco's, again, we'll not to spoil what we're about to talk about, but a lot of Marco's anger is something that I felt for a long time, but uh, God help me if estrogen didn't help a whole lot. So, but in that sense, I do tend to like, honestly, I have a lot more kinship and appreciation for Rachel going back more deeply than I did at the time when I was reading the books for the first time. But I do really, yeah, I really feel that like sense of, you have just enough power to realize how powerless you are.
Wow. Yeah.
And it's,
Yeah. Wow.
yeah, it can feel like a body blow. And that is something that really sticks with you. And a lot of us as adults are still feeling that way.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. 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 Absolutely. These books are so good.
They're really good, Will.
So good.
Thanks for reading them.
Yes. I can't believe that I went so long without having these books in my life. This book opens up with them at a rainforest cafe. They call it an Amazon cafe. It's a rainforest cafe.
Yeah.
Specifically on a mission to liberate some parrots. There are some live parrots that have been brought in for like entertainment while people are in the line to get their seat to go to the rainforest cafe. And they don't like this. Specifically, Cassie doesn't like this. And
Not a fan.
not a fan of like, first off, of course she doesn't like this.
No.
Second off, I love that she goes to Marco because she knows he's an enabler.
Cassie knows exactly what the fuck is up.
She does. She's the smartest one of the group. She always is. She goes to Marco being like, Marco, I don't know what to do. There's this situation and it's unpleasant and it could probably be fixed with, I don't know, hijinks. And he, what do we do?
And this is also Marco's version of events where he is like, but you know that Cassie is coming up as like, Marco, these parrots deserve better, Marco. I just don't know what to do, and get him to feel like he's doing her a solid.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
honest, like, I feel like Marco kind of knows that like Cassie is manipulating him a little bit, but he does not care.
No, they're both in the perfect space of plausible deniability about this.
And I really appreciate getting to have Cassie has a harebrained scheme time right away at the top of this book. I mean, her getting to do a scheme at all without people snarking at her too much is pretty nice. But she also takes kind of a back seat for a lot of the rest of the book. So apart from being mostly correct about sharks, but not entirely. But narratively, it is good to have her take this role kind of front and center in the hijinks, even if this is a bonkers plan that Jake would not have agreed to 5 books ago.
No, absolutely not. So their harebrained plan is that they're going to go and they're going to get the DNA, morph as these parrots, release the actual parrots, and cause mayhem. And in fact, they do. So Jake does come along because he knows that they need supervision, basically. And
he has resigned himself at this point because there's also been so many of these now where somebody gets a hair up their ass about something.
Yes.
And then they have to have a meeting about it. And somebody is like, why are you doing this? And they're like, well, I needed to do this. And I think that Jake at this point is like, sometimes somebody needs to feel like a superhero, and
Yeah.
this is what a couple of us need right now, and so we need to have this.
Yes. Sometimes we just need a win, guys. Sometimes we just need a win. I am also purposefully ignoring all of my feelings about them still not talking about this Tobias situation. This is still making me absolutely insane. Tobias has his boy body back as an alternate morph form, and we've not addressed this at all. Last book was just horse races in Area 51, and then haunted mansion hijinks. So I'm just gonna accept. I'm just gonna practice radical acceptance about where we are with Tobias right now.
So here's a thing that I will say. So for one thing, I'm an apologist for a lot of things in this series. So
Sure.
I'm angling for a Marvel Comics no prize in Animorph studies as often as possible. But I do think there's an element to this, again, as serialized fiction, where some of these moments are handled like conspicuously off page. Where, like we ended number 13 with Tobias doing the most theater kid ass reveal to his girlfriend at her big award ceremony. Like, that is such a fucking Dawson's Creek moment, by the way. Tobias showing up at the whole foreshadowed awards ceremony. He can't be there because he's a hawk. And but like after that, like everybody is dragging Tobias back to the barn and being like, what the fuck is going on? And all he can say really is Ellimist shit.
Right. Right.
But I do think it's interesting how Marco talks about this here, where he says, he can morph into his old human shape, but if he stays in that shape more than 2 hours, he'll be trapped in it and never be able to morph again. He made the choice to live as a hawk and keep his morphing power. I don't know if I'd have been tough enough to make that choice. So I feel like there's maybe a time. We also know that Tobias is as reticent as Marco is to talk about how he's feeling about everything.
Yeah.
They both have a bunch of complexes. So it's debatable as to whether Tobias is willing to have an extended conversation in the first place, which is frustrating. But also, like, I feel like they understand the broad strokes that this was real weird Ellimist fuckery. And Tobias is also making the choice constantly going forward to not become a double Nothlit, turn 360 degrees and walk away and just live as a human again. And everybody is sort of just aware that that's the bargain that he's making. Whether or not he was cheated by the Ellimist, he did not specify even close to enough in the wording on that deal for personal reasons. But he is making that choice all the time. And Marco, who's famously reticent about this entire enterprise, has to respect that.
Yeah. So they are morphing these parrots, and Marco immediately notices that he knows that parrots are smart, but he also is like feeling what I put in my notes as bird feelings. They have like emotions. They have feelings. They are like sentient creatures in a way that he hasn't really experienced before. And he's like, oh, this is bad. And Cassie's like, yeah. I know. I keep telling all of you this.
Cassie's sitting over here like, y'all, animals do deserve to live.
Yeah.
And it's weird that we keep having to have this conversation.
Yes.
And it's not the last time we'll have this conversation in this book.
Oh, yeah. No. So they are, as these parrots, squawking, causing havoc. They're saying that the food is bad. They're making fun of people's, I think, toupee.
They get off on some foul shit here.
They do.
It is peak 90s middle grade fiction.
Yeah.
With
Yeah.
fried booger strips
God.
and Cassie has to get off a we should be flying free in our native habitat.
Yes.
And Marco's like, Cassie,
Please.
come on. You a little bit. There are definitely controllers somewhere, right?
Yeah.
Like they're not. Can you imagine being a controller who goes to the Rainforest Cafe for cover with their family one day, and then the parents are doing this shit? They're like, "Oh, the Andalite bandits are definitely humans, and they're doing
great.
something here."
It's my little sister's birthday. I can't deal with you right now. They are bringing her the volcano cake, please. And then, like a fucking bus hitting me, oh, Eric is here. Okay.
Hi, Eric.
Hi, Eric. The last time we saw Eric, one of the most fucked up things in the series happened. He did a fucking nuclear bomb and everybody was dying, and he was like, I
Marco especially.
Yeah.
Marco held his intestines in his hand, like like that dude from Jurassic Park.
So I'm screaming reading this. I'm terrified. And we get to chapter 3 and we're kind of just like immediately thrown into it. This really had.
Oh, I'm
Yeah.
so sorry. I didn't want to. There are some KA slip ups, some cashews, as they're referred to in this book. Some of them are like little stretches from Seropedia that I think are more CinemaSins than actual slip ups.
Sure.
But some of them are, I think, actual slip ups. Marco says that we'd seen what Eric could do. Marco notably did not see what Eric could do.
Oh, yeah, wait.
Because he was fucking dead.
Because he was dead.
That was the whole thing. So, but you have to imagine everybody filled Marco in on exactly what Eric did. So, but Marco can just like, his imagination is running wild whenever he thinks about what Eric did sort of for him and also the rest of the team, but sort of for him.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my God. I can't even imagine. Somehow not actually having seen it feels scarier to me, you know?
It's like when something happens in between panels in a comic book.
Yeah.
You're filling that in. And that's that Scott McCloud shit.
Yeah. Anyway. So I'm like stressed. I see Eric and I'm like, nothing good. Eric is not just having recreation time at the Rainforest Cafe. Like, I would love to think that that's what's happening, but no, he is here for a reason.
Oh, somebody brought their dog.
He was like, yeah, I just followed.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's fine.
Good smell.
Yeah. So, chapter 3, Eric is here to tell them that Visser 1 is back in town. Eric says that she is leading a mission on Royan Island. I looked into this. This is not a real place. In my eternal quest to figure out what coast this is on, I'm immediately thinking Seattle and, oh my God, the island. There's a little island that's off of Seattle. It has a name. But who's to say what it is? We'll never know. And we can't Google it, and no one's ever known, actually. And Eric is here to basically say, like, hey, so if anybody has some, like, I don't know, unresolved trauma revolving around Visser 1, just hypothetically, that
if someone was like, around.
Yeah. Like, it might be bad. It might be bad if potentially, and essentially the feeling here is that Marco can potentially fuck this up the exact same way that Jake might fuck things up because of Tom. So we're bringing back, in a big way, this connection between Marco and Jake. And they're also the only
Hmm.
two who know right now that
Yeah.
Visser 1 is Marco's supposedly dead mother. Um, and of course, obviously, Marco is freaking out. He is
He's like
having
immediately dissociating.
yes, 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 exactly, exactly. He is out of there and he he is reacting in this way that's both very emotional and very detached. Again, that like dissociation. Um, so Marco says, I'm going to read a little quote of the book here. He meant, meaning Eric, if it came to crunch time, would I destroy my own mother to protect the mission? That's what he meant. Jake grabbed my shoulder and turned me around. And I was still mad, but I knew why I was mad. It wasn't that Eric had insulted me somehow. It was that Eric was right. I don't know, Jake, I said. I don't know. And therein lies a big crux of the conflict of this book.
Yeah.
Um, but not the entire conflict, because what we get from here on out is this really fascinating rumination on Marco and who he is outwardly versus inward, and how he uses his
Hmm.
coping mechanisms and what that means when those coping mechanisms are not going to be sufficient.
Yeah.
Um,
It's
in
so great to see how deep their bond runs here as it's getting
yes,
challenged. Um,
yes,
but Jake famously decked Marco back in the first book for
yeah,
saying that Tom was a controller at all.
yeah,
And both of them now know how deeply fucked up it is that they might both have to do horrible things to people that they love. But Jake is also like directly asking Marco here whether he can make the call that he knows he isn't ready to make himself.
yes, yes. And I love what their friendship does here, because like Marco is not being a good friend to Jake right now. Jake is
Nah.
also not really being a good friend to Marco right now, but they are both like aware
Yeah.
of that. And I think that they're both handling the fact that they're not handling it well. Does that does that make
Yeah.
sense?
And I think it's, and this will come back later on in a bigger way, but they have a, I guess I'll bring it up here.
Yeah.
The Batman and Spider-Man debate
Yes.
here is something that I think is so interesting for reasons that go beyond like, oh yeah, see what great friends they are. They're having the same debate over and over again. I think Jake is canonically the one who's defending Batman
Yes.
in this argument, and
Uh-huh.
Marco's defending Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And I think that alone says a lot about both of their characters. Um,
Truly.
but they are, through those sorts of arguments, kind of used to being in some amount of friction with one another. And they give each other shit for video game performance and everything like that. So they're okay with like being a little bit not okay.
Yeah.
And it's how not okay can we get, that is partly what's being tested between him and Jake here.
Exactly. Exactly. And I love what you said about basically the superheroes that they defend. I think is really telling about their approaches
Yeah.
to really serious, stressful, awful situations. Jake is going to hunker down and get shit done.
Yeah.
He is going to try to turn off his feelings and focus on task, task, task. Marco, as we're about to get into, is more prone to levity and being a little jokester and trying to not take things as seriously.
Marco is typical Parker Luck, the Animorphs character.
Yes, yes. And in my notes, I have here for chapter 4, uh, will just read this chapter intro while recording. Also the note, you don't know me. Don't look at me. Shut up. Because this book, let me tell you, hits close to home. So I'm gonna go ahead and read a big chunk here of Marco's narration. So he's talking about um not telling the others about his mom being Visser 1. They still think that she's dead. They think that that's in the past. They don't know anything about who Visser 1 is to Marco. They've seen Visser 1, but they had never seen his mom. So there's no connection there. So he says, I didn't want their pity. I still don't. I'm a joker. I'm a comedian. That's how I deal with life. See, I've always believed that to some extent, you get to decide for yourself what your life will be like. You can either look at the world and say, oh, isn't it all so tragic, so grim, so awful? Or you can look at the world and decide that it's mostly funny. If you step back far enough from the details, everything gets funny. You say war is tragic. I say, isn't it crazy the way people will fight over nothing? People fight wars to control crappy little patches of empty desert for crying out loud. It's like fighting over an empty soda can. It's not so much tragic as it is ridiculous, asinine, stupid. You say, isn't it terrible about global warming? And I say, no, it's funny. We're going to bring on global warming because we ran too many leaky air conditioners? We used too much spray deodorant, so now we'll be doomed to sweat forever? That's not sad. That's irony. Note to Alanis. That is ironic. I love this. I love this. This is easily the most seen I've felt in any of these books, which is saying a lot. This is sort of exactly my vibe and how I deal with colossal tragedy. One thing I think is very interesting here about Marco is that his options are either look at life itself, the world itself, and think it's funny or think it's tragic. He does not see an option where he is looking at his life and the world and how things operate, expecting beauty
Yeah.
or hope or joy or anything. These are the only options that he sees as possible, and he has chosen to make some fucking lemonade.
Yep. He's pouring all the sugar that he can find into this pitcher. And it's not looking like it's gonna be enough, but but we're gonna sell this out front for God's sake.
I I love this. I'm like continually sad that I didn't have this series when I was growing up, but I cannot imagine how much this book would have done for me at the
Yeah.
age when these were coming out. Even reading it now as an adult, I was like, damn, I needed this. I
Yeah.
needed this.
I'm
It's
so
so
glad that
good.
it got to you in a way that was not just like twisting the knife on you, but like, yeah, I feel the same way. Like I really remember loving this book when I was a kid so much, and I rereading for this episode, I got to the part right after the passage you read where Marco says, uh, I still feel like someone blew a hole in me, a hole that will
Yes. Oh
never
my
heal,
God.
a hole I don't want to heal because I don't want to stop hurting for my mom. I don't want to get over it. And I'm like,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
dude.
Yeah.
When you, yeah, it's the, and that is such a great portrait of complex grief,
Yes.
in a way that a lot of kid lit doesn't manage to get into.
In a way, a
Um,
lot of adult lit doesn't manage to get into.
doesn't get there. Yeah.
I feel like we are so scared of this concept of the comforting familiarity of grief, of trauma, of depression. Like for those of us who've gone through it, that's so real. Moving on from that is exhausting and it's unknown and it's scary and it doesn't feel real either. It feels like you're going to be wasting your time. And seeing that reflected here four kids put as plainly as it is, as directly as it is, like just continual undying respect for this series.
Hmm.
Naming things that even as adults we shy away from because we feel like we are not supposed to talk about things this way.
Yeah. And there's, so as we get further into the chapter, Marco's asking Axe about who are these Lyrans that
Mm-hmm.
Eric mentioned? What do you know about them? And Axe gives him the overview that they're psychic amphibians. And before we get further into that, that's a threat not just to the Animorphs, but that's a threat to Marco right here. As
Yes,
he's just
huge.
said, I don't want their pity.
Mm-hmm.
He is on emotional lockdown when it comes to sharing this with other people. So the idea of like somebody rooting around in his head for feelings and emotions this way, even separately from the Yeerks, like this is not something that he can abide right now.
No, 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 he's not equipped for this one. Like, and on top of the threat of like, just to put this out there for listeners to make sure this connection is made, the implication of having controllers that are psychic and can immediately tell who the Animorphs are and that they're not Andalites, like, huge threat. And then Marco is having to deal with this, like, other psychologically, like, existential threat to the
Mm-hmm.
only thing that is keeping him afloat right now, which is acting like he's fine and acting like this is not going on and not letting anyone else into that process.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the Lyrans. So they are which is
Let's talk about Lyrans.
also exactly what the chapter does is Marco lays down that bombshell of I don't want to get over it. And then we're like, anyway, so what about these
Yeah. So frogs.
Yeah, so basically they're froggies. They are quoting from the book here, the most advanced life forms that they are the most advanced life forms in the oceans. They're a sentient race of amphibians. Axe says that they're not allowed on the Andalite home planet because they're psychic and uh they could, learn about like war tactic secrets. And he also says that it's just like embarrassing. Like
Right.
having psychics around is embarrassing, and that's so real. Um, I have OCD, and apparently it is a very common OCD thing to constantly be, and this was more so when I was like in elementary school and had a little bit more like access to magical thinking, but like monitoring my thoughts to be like, what if somebody in my class is psychic and they can hear all my thoughts and I sound crazy? I sound so crazy and so lame. So yeah, I understand deeply
The
why this would be
psychic,
so embarrassing.
your psychic classmate listening into your thoughts and be like, why are they thinking about
Yeah,
having a psychic classmate? What?
like, oh shit, they're on to me.
Fuck.
Also, they have a lot to unpack. So,
Also, Axe here
yeah,
is in this interesting place where the team knows that he's sometimes deliberately withholding information
yes,
from them. So it's kind of this like, from their perspective, X is maybe telling them everything that he knows, and he was also just a teenager who wasn't paying attention in class,
yes,
or he's being like racist.
yeah, yeah, or like purposefully, what I guess that's also like
Yes.
human racist too. Yeah, yeah,
Axe's and him like hemming and hawing all the time is sort of like it could be either one of those things. Either you
yeah,
don't trust humans for Andalite reasons, or you were kind of an airhead skirt chaser back on the home world.
yeah. I I love Axe so much.
He's such a doof.
Such a doof. Another incredibly specific character.
I really do love, not to get off on this, but I really love how much of number 4 boils down to, what if you met an alien, like a real live alien from another planet, and he became your friend and he was kind of a moron?
Yeah. What if he was really useful and also like really not?
Yeah.
So Axe is saying that there's no way that there could be a Lyran controller because they would all know. So like how would they even make a controller out of one of them? You would be able to root out the spies immediately. They would be able to sense the traitors. And Marco is like, sure, but what if though? But what if though? Because it seems like we're in kind of a situation. And basically Marco is in his little spiral of just like despondently, resignedly laughing literally everything off right now.
Marco is laughing at God,
yes.
And Axe has no idea what the fuck is going on. Marco's making all of these jokes that on a good day only make sense to him, yes, because he hasn't told anybody else what's going on. Axe is from another fucking planet. He's trying so hard to keep up, and it's like, oh, the irony gods.
Yeah. He's
okay, like, I'm going to put that in my back haunch for later. I need to remember these irony gods that Marco has told me about.
Yeah, the quote here, these irony gods are a human religion? Naturally, Axe was totally mystified by my babbling. No, they're just a Marco religion, I said. The irony gods wait to find out whatever it is you don't want, and that's what they do to you. And this is funny? Axe asked. And then Marco, one of I think the best quotes of this book. Yeah. If it was happening to someone else, it would be hysterical.
Yeah. And that's Marco, baby.
That's Marco. And that's how chapter 4 ends. What a banger. Nevermorphed is hosted, edited, and produced by Will Williams. Our theme music is The Chase by Joey Hendricks. Our title is by Eddie Feely, and this podcast would not exist without Mike Schubert's podcast, Potterless and the Newest Olympian. You can find his works at shub.es, that's shub.es. Nevermorphed is a proud member of Hug House Productions. You can find more at hughouse.productions and follow us on Tumblr at Nevermorphed. Get morphin'!